guys, today we are going to talk about the following topics from the chapter Socialism in Europe, okay, and Russian Revolution. So today we'll be discussing about the age of social change, liberals, radicals, and conservatives, Indian society and social change, and then the coming of socialism to Europe, and of course in the end a very important 1 mark question, right, homework question, which is very important from the perspective of examination. So make sure that you stay tuned till then. Yeah, okay, so let's quickly get started and talk about the age of socialism. Now, if you remember where like in the previous chapter, we discussed that French Revolution was happening and what would its impact on the society. So naturally after that, after the occurrence of the French Revolution, it would have left some long-lived impacts over the society, correct? So as a result of this revolution, people had now realized the kind of the power that was there in their hand. Okay, the kind of possibilities that lied in the society, the possibilities towards change, the kind of change that could have happened. Okay, now people were aware of their individual rights, the kind of power, as I told you, that they had, that was there already in them, were now recognized by them after the revolution. Okay, and this idea of individual rights was actually emerging not just in France or in Europe, but across the world. Okay, globally it was happening. Also in Asia. Okay, it was influencing Europe, Asia, all these parts. Why? So, like everyone was struggling in their own way. Okay, and they had just started to realize that who is going to control the social power. So earlier there were few people like the monarchs, the colonialists. Okay, all these people had the social power in their hand. For example, in France, the social power was in the hand of the two states, right? If you remember, the French community was divided in 3 states. The top 2 states, clergy and nobility, had all the social power, and the third state was being exploited. But now the people were becoming more and more aware, and now they were overthrowing the authority or questioning the authority of who is going to own this social power. And this was, as I told you, not just in France, happening across everywhere. Okay, French Revolution had inspired everyone who was in whatever way struggling in their motherland. Okay, for example, in India itself, Raja Ram Mohan Roy or De Rosio discussed the importance of French Revolution. It was the discussion of this revolution, its importance was happening everywhere, bacha. Okay? And why was this happening? So everyone in their own space was struggling. Okay, in few places there was monarchy, in few places there was colonialism. Everywhere people were being suppressed, they were being oppressed, but they got so inspired and energized and aware after French Revolution that they just decided to put a stop on that, and that developed this new reshaped changes of introduction of new ideas that was going to bring this whole new change in the society. So this is going to be very interesting. This is one of the most difficult chapters, and why I'm all of a sudden talking about this is because this is something I struggled a lot as a student. But we're going to talk about this in so much detail in just like a story, that it's going to be the most easiest chapter for you and most interesting. If you actually understand all these concepts that's here, this is one of the most interesting thing that you're going to come across in your social science, excluding including your geography and political science and everything. History is going to become very interesting for you. Okay, coming back to the topic. So now after this, people had recognized what kind of power they had, and they were just done with being suppressed, be it because of the colonies that were there in their countries or by the monarchy system that was there in the countries. They were like, okay, we are putting our foot down, we are not going to take this anymore. And in whatever way they could, they were bringing up these ideas which were going to change the entire society, not just in France but across the world, in Europe, in Asia, everywhere. Okay, and these ideas were spreading like fire. Okay, it was influencing people in such an intensity, and in such an intense manner, and at such a rate, it was impeccable. Okay, so now what happens? So everyone naturally would have different ideas. Now everyone is coming up with ideas, everyone is influenced. Okay guys, so now there were people who were coming with different ideas. Now what do we mean by this? There was a variation in these ideas. Few people wanted change immediately. They were like, okay, no, today this has happened, tomorrow this change should be there. But there were also few people who wanted the change to be slow and gradual, who wanted to respect their past. Okay, so now these kind of changes were bringing different kinds of groups. Okay, emergence of different kind of groups in the society called conservatives, radicals and liberals. Okay, now in 20th century, also later 19th century and early 20th century, when Russian Revolution actually started, it emerged with socialism. People got introduced to socialism, which we will understand in detail what it means. You don't have to worry, in some time in today's session itself. Fine. So let's see who were these liberals, radicals and conservatives that we were just speaking about. Who were these new groups that were emerging? So Bacha, will take you a little, we'll go a little in flashback. Talking about French Revolution. During French Revolution, and why it started was also a major reason was the structure of the society. How it was divided in three segments, the three states. Now those three states was being dissolved. New kind of groups, new kind of system, new kind of statures were being established in the society. Now it was more based on what kind of ideas did people have. And just, I mean, in the same scenario, the three new groups which got established were liberals, radicals and conservatives. Now we'll first of all talk about liberals. So liberals, as the name suggests itself, were people who were very free, very open-minded, very open to change. Now, if you remember, I told you that these various groups established on the basis of whether they wanted the change to be immediate or whether they wanted it to be gradual. So liberals were the people who wanted the changes to be very quick. Okay. And I mean, of course, in the establishment, in the, you can say, coming up of socialism, they had a huge role to play. But let's first understand who they were and what were their ideology. So if we talk about liberals, so as the name suggests, as I told you, they were people who were asking for freedom of individual rights, right? Freedom of a person as an individual and attainment of all those rights in the society as other people. Now these guys, okay, so there were a lot of people, especially in France. It was always, professing of a particular, you can say, propaganda for promotion of a particular religion was always done. There were two kind of religions there, and people would propagate that. But liberals believed that it should be a secular state. People should get to practice whatever religion they want without any bondage. Fine guys. Now they also not just that, they were opposing this dynastic rulers as well, the rule of dynasties, which means the same family generation by generation would keep ruling, same as monarchy. They were absolutely against it. Why? Because they believed in equal opportunity. They believed that every person should have equal opportunity based on their merits, based on their efforts. It should not be privilege, should not be given to people by birth. Not just that, they were also professing that they wanted an elected parliament. They wanted an independent judiciary, that kind of government. Fine, bacha? But there was one difference from other people. I mean, there was one catch. They were not so great, was that they were not really Democrats. Now, what do we mean by that? So, they were not Democrats is what we mean that they did not really profess democratic kind of government. They were, and which means the suffrage, okay, the voting rights were not being demanded for the entire society. They were fine with having rights only for the people who owned property, which means they were not against the owning of private properties. They were fine with large landowners, owners of private properties, and they were in fact professing, they were in favor of people having, only men having voting rights who would own some property. Now that was difficult. That was somewhere making them not so much wanted. Everyone would not follow them just blindly. Correct? So these were liberals. Now came the second group, which was radical, as the name suggests. Can you think, I'll just give you 2 seconds. Can you think of what radical means? Have you heard this word before? Have has this word gone into your mind before? And what is the next synonym that comes to your mind whenever I say radical? Think about it. Anything? Okay, so radical bacha means very progressive, very revolutionary, kind of an extreme. Okay, it's not very normal, it's something very diabolic in a way. Okay, so now these radicals were the another groups who again wanted the change to be very immediate. But there was one thing, I mean, like their ideology, I personally agree with a lot. They had some very great thoughts. I think after a long period of time, these were the people who were finally asking for the voting rights of women. How wonderful, right? And they believed in democracy. They believed that if the government has to be formed, it has to be formed by the consent of each and every citizen. It cannot be just formed by one group of people who own property. It should be majority, and for majority to be obtained, everyone needs to vote, which means what? They were also against private property owners. Now, if I tell you about this, they were not exactly against, absolutely against, private property owners. But what their actual idea was that these private property owners is not like the property division of property was done uniformly among everyone. The properties were kind of concentrated in hands of few people, which was making them very powerful and drawing this line of division between the rich and the poor wider and wider. That is what they were against. You see how beautiful their thought is. They're like, okay, fine, owning a property is not wrong, but owning a property only by few people is what is wrong. That is what they were not in favor of. And of course, the privilege that these people, these landowners, these wealthy factory owners were getting because of having these lands and properties is what these guys were against. Okay, Bacha Party. Now next comes conservatives. Now this is a group which we have kind of discussed in the French Revolution also. And as the name suggests, conservatives were people, and as we're going to talk about them more in detail in the next in your 10th standard, but let's talk about who they were. Now as the name suggests, now this is the beauty of it. You can just keep thinking about the names, you know it right there. If you know the literal meaning of these things, you're sorted. So I was telling you the third group was conservatives. So conservatives are people who are very conventional, who are very orthodox, who are very traditional, who are not very open to change. And same was the case with this group. These were people who used to very intensely oppose any sort of changes, and any person who professed these changes, which were the liberals and the radicals. But after French Revolution, when all of these changes happened and they witnessed it, which was, although they were not in favor of, but once they witnessed it, they got convinced. Okay, they realized that there are few changes which is for the betterment of the society, and now they were, open to adopting these changes, but at a slow pace. If you remember, I told you in the beginning, the groups were divided in different ideologies, and also at what pace did they wanted the change to happen. So the conservatives wanted these changes to happen slowly, because they were very conventional people. They did not want to lose touch from the past. They wanted to show some respect to the past also, without bringing some change acceptable easily by everyone very quick in the society. Okay, this was the third group. Now guys, multiple attempts on revolution, national movements, and transformation in the 19th century made a lot of changes which defined how the political society, the political tendency, the political behavior of society was going to look like. Which brings us to the next topic of industrial society and social change. So now after the French Revolution, what started? Another revolution started, which was the Industrial Revolution. Now we will get to see what happens because of this Industrial Revolution, because of this new technology, industries being set up, factories being introduced to the people. But before that, let's talk about something which is very important. Another important part, a little away, a little different, from your regular socialism in Europe and Russian Revolution. Now, what is it? So this is actually the problems that has been brought to our notice by the surveys that we conducted. What are the certain problems that you guys are facing? And the answers have been given by you people only. So I heard, and everyone knows that now, that the certain struggles that you guys have is about doubts. Now right now we don't even know like how to resolve our doubts, right? I mean, there's so many issues. We don't know whether should we ask our school teachers, or should we ask Vedantu teacher or tuition teacher if you have any. Where do you clarify your doubts from? Sometimes there's so many that you don't get enough time to do it. Then how do you prepare your notes, especially in social science? It's so difficult. Like, ma'am, how do I write the answers? What are the importance point to pick? Because I remember I asked this in one of my sessions, that how many of you struggle in making notes, and everyone was saying that everything seems important. I don't know what to pick and what to leave, how to prepare the I mean, like, how to prepare a timeline, how to make a notes of the dates in the history chapter. What are certain points that I should point out in geography? So note making is another challenge. Important points, how to pick them up from your chapter. Then tests and assignments, which keeps on happening. The practice tests, the assignments, how do I solve them? What questions, I mean, like, what kind of assignments should I solve? What is the solution to that? How do I prepare for certain competitive exams that keeps on happening? How do I make sure that I'm excelling in all of it? Of course, then the choice of schedule. How do I decide how is my day supposed to look like? If I'm doing this today, what if I miss on maths tomorrow? If I'm doing maths, what if I miss on science? And science in itself, social science in itself, has so many subjects into it. What is the schedule? What is the routine that you should be following? And then, of course, most important, choice of language. Like I keep saying this entire channel has been created because people were like, ma'am, Hindi, English, not English, this, that. All of it were great problems being faced by our dear students. And we thought, like, dude, if students are going to worry about this, who's going to worry about the board exams? How will they write the board exam? So we figured that we have to get a solution, and very fast and immediately, for our bachas. So we are here with our solution to the problems of our sweet children. All your problems, guys, doubts, notes, tests and assignments, competitive exams, schedule, choice of language, all of this has been solved. How? You'll get to know within few seconds very soon. But there's a surprise for you, you know. It's not just these problems that we have solved, we have brought some bonuses for you as well. Whatever you have asked, you're going to get more than that. That's the advantage of being a part of the Vedantu family, right? So you get unlimited live classes, all these micro sessions, crash courses that keeps on happening. Like suppose if you've missed chapter 8, and that is where you have questions from, you always have the liberty of only attending chapter 8 without waiting for the other chapters to happen. You can always go to the session which keeps on happening on a daily basis, or thrice or 4 times in a week, and you can always learn that chapter over there. Your live performance reports, how are you performing, where do you stand, immediate reports will be given to you. And of course, personalized attention. I mean, right now you struggle for having a one-on-one conversation, but that will not be a problem. A very focused, personalized attention will be given to you. But how is all of this going to happen? What is this magical thing that will fulfill our wish true? It's just this link. So guys, you just need to go on this link, vdnt.in/ytpro, and after you click on this link, you just have to quickly select your grade. You're in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, whatever, for your siblings, whoever you're doing it for. Select the grade, select your boards, CBSE, ICSE, other boards, state boards, wherever. And all these details that I just told you about is available over there in proper depth. You don't have to just believe me, you can always go and check it out on your own, right? So all these details are right there. You can go and check it out on your own, and after that I'm sure you won't be able to resist from hitting the subscription button. What you're going to do is you're going to click on this get subscription button. After that, you're going to get the subscription, but there is also an option. There you have choices again. As I told you, we're not going to leave our bachas disappointed. We'll not just give one choice. We are coming up with 3 choices. If you feel you're not very sure about it, go with 1 month. If you're somewhat sure but do not know what exactly are you looking for, you can go with 3 months. And of course, then 6 months, which is nothing less than a jackpot. And why am I saying this? So guys, the bigger time that you decide to spend with the Vedantu family, with being a part of a family, the bigger advantage you get. But how do we avail this advantage? What is this magic coupon ma'am is talking about which will change the prices? So if you look at the price of 1 month, whatever it was reduces to 2294.15. That's amazing, right? And the same thing increases to the highest discount in 6 months. The longer period I mean, like, look at the kind of advantage it gives you, right? You get 6 months, all subjects, just for 9774.15, which is what, if you calculate, this is for 6 months and it is for 9774. If you actually calculate for charge every day that you're paying, is in fact less than 10 rupees, somewhere around 10 rupees, which is so super cool, right? So, and how do you get this discount? So all you need to do is, guys, go on this link, as I told you, vdnt.in/ytpro, and the coupon code that you're supposed to use is AEKPRO. Guys, if you do not use this code in the apply coupon box, you will not be able to avail the discount. That magic of the reduced price will not happen. And because you're Ankana ma'am's purchase, this has happen for you. You should get some advantage for that. So people, make sure you're copying the code, you're making a note of it, going on this link and deciding to and pick your subscription as per your requirement. Whatever you have questions in your head, you can always think, discuss and choose accordingly. Even if you decide not to do that, there's no issues. We are already here for you. Some added advantages might not be there, but we certainly are, and we will get you through. Okay, so moving on, as I was telling you, that industrial revolution started. Industries started being set up in the places. Now, as a result of which, what happened? So if industries are being set up in different new places, naturally new cities would come up. Why? Because wherever more industrialization is there, more factories are being set up, people will migrate to that place, as a result of which the same thing happened at this time also. Now, before this, we were discussing only about the political scenario of the society. Now we are going to look at the social and economic changes also that were coming in the society because of this new changes. As I told you, the industrialized regions got set up and the industrial revolution started, which pushed for the emergence of new cities and towns. And why were these new cities and towns being formed? Because these places which had industries and factories were becoming more powerful and were attracting more and more people because of the job opportunities. Now people were already losing jobs because industries were being set up. Things which were being done manually earlier were now being done by factories. So everyone was on a lookout of job opportunities. Now it was not just that. If you remember, we have discussed that the population was increasing rapidly in French and in Europe, around Europe at this time, which led to the crisis of the bread, right? Subsistence crisis, if you remember from French Revolution. So it was still there. The population wouldn't vanish all of a sudden. Okay, revolution got over, but the population would not vanish, correct? So the population was still there, which was struggling for job, as a result of which unemployment kept on increasing for people. Now this industries, the setting up of industries, instead of solving the problem of the society or the people, increased it, especially for the lower class, especially for the working and labor class. Okay, now these people moved from countryside or whatever area they were towards the areas in the new cities, towns where the industrialization was happening, and everyone, be it men, women or children, started working in these factories. Now you might be thinking, why did women and children start working? Men were already going. Guys, that happened because industrialization had just started and people were just slogging themselves. They were working like anything. They were being crazed because the working hours were very long and the money that they used to get for that was very less. Okay, it was nothing in comparison to that. First, people were not aware of the standards in which they should be receiving wages. Second, most importantly, there were so many people that it didn't matter that what kind kind of money they're getting, whatever they're getting, they were happy in that. Otherwise, if they wouldn't have taken these advantage, like this opportunity, someone else would steal from them because of the kind of unemployment, the kind of number of people who were sitting there waiting for some sort of opportunity. So that was making the life of the people very, very difficult. More than the advantages the industrial revolution would have brought, it brought hardships for these lower class, labor class people. Not just that, because a huge chunks of masses were moving towards the cities, towards the factories. Problem of housing, where will they stay, and sanitation. I mean, like, corona is so much on my head that sanitization is the first word that comes to my mind. Okay, so problem of housing and sanitation also started. So you can imagine the kind of struggle they had. They were struggling for the very, very basic things. Now, at this point, the people who were thinking of the welfare of the society, the liberals and the radicals, were very, very concerned. Okay, they were very sad. They wanted to come up with some, solution which would solve the issues of everybody. And who were these liberals and radicals? So, although they were against, private property, but ownership of private property, but bacha, they were not against private ownership of private property by everybody. They were just against it by few particular people. They were not ready to accept that these guys should be privileged, and that all the property owners, all the property should be in hands of very, very few people. Okay, why is that so? Because they themselves were property owners. They themselves had a lot of industries. They themselves were, employers for these people. But they wanted to work for the welfare of the society. They were earning because of the trade and the industrial ventures that they had. Now, how would they achieve this thing? How would they make sure that the labor class is not getting exploited? So they realized one thing, that a healthy workforce and educated citizen is very, very important for the upliftment of these people. They believe that workforce in the economy should be healthy. Okay, they of course also oppose the privileges of people who were by birth. Okay, privileges of aristocracy, privileges that people had by birth. They were absolutely against it. What they believed was in efforts, in opportunities, in labor and enterprise, and that is what they were professing. Okay, so because they were themselves private property owners, they realized that welfare through being a property owner could also be done, and that is what they wanted everyone else to do as well. But of course, why would others listen? They wanted to make more and more profit. Now let's talk about the role of nationalists, and who are these nationalists. So these liberals, these monarchs, guys, they wanted to overthrow the monarchy, and they wanted to establish nation state. And that's how the feeling of revolution came inside them, and the demand for and the desire for nation state, a proper united nation came to their mind. And these people now, from liberals and radicals, changed into nationalists. Same set of people working still for the welfare of the society. But these were the people whose purpose is now slightly changed, and that's why we are calling them nationalists, because now they're kind of demanding or struggling or working through to throw the monarchy completely, absolutely, and establish a nation state. Okay. Now, one such revolutionary that we talk about is Giuseppe Mazzini. Mazzini is somebody we will read a lot in detail about in unification of Italy in the next standard, in 10th standard, in detail. But if I just quickly talk about here, what was actually happening was that after the overthrowing of monarchy, rule of conservatives were there, and this is what people were again struggling against. So these conservatives, which we were just discussing before a few minutes, they were there, and people like Mazzini, revolutionaries like Mazzini, were conspiring against them, how he did in Italy. Okay, they were forming secret societies, they were professing various kinds of ideas. That is what they were doing to create the feeling of nationalism among everyone. So did Mazzini. He's a very important character, Bacha. He influenced a lot of people across the world. Even in India, he had a lot of influence. Okay. So then we come to the rise of socialism in Europe. How did it start and why did it start? So few questions comes to my mind. Okay, it started, but why did it start? Who were these people who were there for, who were being acting as socialists? Why were they doing that? And if that was the problem, what was the solution provided by them? So bacha, first of all, who were these people who acted as socialists? So in mid 19th century, socialism all of a sudden got attention of everybody around. This was a new philosophy, new idea that people came up with, but it got so much of, support and acceptance by people that it got promoted to another level. But what was this idea? So the idea of socialism was being propagated, or was being professed, or you can say pushed forward by the socialists. Who were these people? These were the same people, the nationalists, the liberals and the radicals who wanted to work for the welfare of the society. And who were the liberals and radicals? The same people who owned a lot of private properties. Now why were they doing this? So but if you remember, if I go back a few minutes back, what I just told you, that the industrialization became, instead of being a blessing, it kind of became more of a hardship, more of a challenge and struggle for the lower class people. And the liberals and radicals wanted to come up with a solution for this problem, and socialism became their answer, became the answer to their question. And these people became the socialists, people who were against privilege by birth, people who were against ownership of private property by few fixed people in the society. Now, what was socialism? What was this idea that they were propagating? What was this idea that they had come up with, that they were professing? So according to socialism, the condition of the society is bad because there are few fixed people who own the production, who own the profit that is being generated, okay, who own the land and the property. But if all of this, and as a result of this, what happens? They only think of their own profit. But if all of these states, everything, the entire means of production is owned by the state, by the government, then no individual interest will be there, and everyone will profit from it equally. Which means everything and every means of production needs to be owned and controlled by the state, so that the welfare of each individual is taken care of. Because if it is owned by few fixed people, they only think of their profit, they only think of their welfare, and as a result of which the welfare of the major sector of the society, the lower class, the labor class, is left out. So if we want to achieve the betterment of the entire society, if the entire thing has to be taken under consideration, it has to be done by somebody who has no direct interest or no direct profit, no direct gain from this whole process. And that's why the socialists said that these people need to have a state government which would own everything, and it would not belong to any individual. Now, what was the solution given by these people? So they said cooperatives. Okay, they said that cooperative societies which is a contribution by everyone is in equal cooperation over there, should be formed. Okay, very nice idea, right? I mean, like, so wonderful. Because I own something, I will first of all think of my profit. So maybe if somebody superior from all of us, above all of us, owns everything, then everyone will get their just and due welfare, okay, their rights. Now, there were two kinds of socialists at this period, okay. Before that, let's quickly understand what do we mean by cooperatives. So these were basically associations, bacha, of people who produced goods together and divided the profits according to the work done by members. Such a wonderful idea, correct? I mean, they're saying that fine, it has to be owned by one superior government or state, and everyone is going to work there. It is going to be an association where everyone is working, and it doesn't matter that what class, what work you're doing, whatever kind of work you're doing, the amount of effort that you put in, you will be rewarded, you will be compensated based on that. So amazing, right? Because before this, property owners were not working. They just had the property, they would sit and make people work for it, and they would not even pay them properly. So this solution, this idea was going to solve all of these issues. Correct, bacha? Okay, now as I was telling you, there were two types of socialists also. Even this idea was being divided into two types. One, there were few people who believed that it was the responsibility of the rich people who had all of these properties to take care of the welfare of the laborers, okay, and they should make initiatives, they should take initiatives, they should make efforts in order to achieve this. However, there were few set of other people who did not believe in this, who said that no, it's not responsibility of the individual property owner, because he naturally will think about himself first. It is actually the responsibility of the government. The government needs to have these cooperatives built up so that they can take care of the welfare of the entire society and each and every member of the society. Now these two groups had two people. So number one, where the cooperatives were supposed to be built by the rich people who owned all of these properties, was Robert Owen. Now Robert Owen in fact himself created an association called New Harmony in Indiana, USA, where as a rich property owner he was taking care of the welfare of everyone, but that was not done by everybody. And then we had people like Louis Blanc. Okay, Louis Blanc said that no, the property owner will obviously not take the effort. What if he's not capable enough? What if he is not considerate enough? It is the responsibility of the government to take care of their subjects. Okay, Bacha Padi? So this is what was meant by the two different kinds of groups, which of socialists. Okay, then came a very new concept called communism. Bacha, socialism and communism are very similar and hence very confusing. But they're not the same thing. They are similar. Okay, they're like synonymous, but they're not exactly same. They kind of go hand in hand, you can say, together parallelly. They are like friends, but they're not the same individual. They're not twins. Now let's understand what do we mean by communism. Now two very great philosophers, two very great intellectual people like Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels told us this, that the problem of the society is that most of the production or all the things that is being said, the profit goes to one person. The profit goes to the owner, the capitalists. Okay, and the society at that form was capitalist in nature. This is what they were against. They said till the point the capitalists are there, capitalism is there, profit is being owned by the industry owners, there is going to be problem in the society. It will never ever be quiet. It will never ever be balanced. The laborers are going to keep struggling. The solution to this problem that they gave was communist society, which means what? Now this is similar to socialist society, but this is slightly different. And listen very carefully, what is the difference? So in socialist society, we were saying that the welfare of the people is in the hand of government, should be in the hand of government or the state. It shouldn't be in hand of few people. I mean, the whole power should not be in hand of few people who are the basic property owners, because they only think about themselves, which is not their fault. This is how humans are. So the solution what Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels gave was that this event should not belong to the government. Sometimes even government might get greedy. What they are saying is whatever production is happening, okay, whatever property is there, whatever is there should be owned by all the laborers, because it is the laborers who are working hard for these industrialists and earning profit for them, and all this profit is being accumulated by these industrialists and nothing is being given to the laborers. So the laborers should overthrow these owners and take up their position, and whatever they are earning should divide in equal part among themselves. Okay, there should be no concept of capitalism and private property. The profits that the capitalists are getting actually belong to the workers, and that's where it should go. And he in fact went to the length of saying that this is the natural society of the future. This is how it is going to be. Interesting, right? However, this was not a very sustainable idea, but it definitely gave a way forward for us in the future to imagine and think about things of possibilities which were there. So this is it, bacha. This is what we are supposed to do under communism and socialism. We will talk what happens next further. I hope that this helped you understand and made it very easy for you. I know it was a very complex chapter. It is a very complex chapter. I'll try to make it as easy as possible. Okay. Now let's look at the homework question. Industrialization brought men, women and children to what place? Villages, factories, towns, or none of these? And with this, we are done with this session. If this session helped you, make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure guys you're subscribing to the channel, because this is just the first session. We're going to come up with many more sessions with also doubt and mentee sessions. So if you do not subscribe to the channel, you will not get a notification about it. Also make sure to tell me what are your doubts in the comment section below, so that I can take up those doubts in the doubt and mentee session and we do not miss on any piece of information that can help you. Do tell me, what do you think is the difference between socialism and communism, and which one do you agree with more in the comment section, and how did you like the session? I will see you guys in the next session guys. Till then, take care, stay home, stay safe. Bye bye. Have a great day ahead.